There was a part of me I spent years running from. I buried it under work, under smiles, under the need to be okay. I told myself it didn't matter, that I'd outgrow it, that strong people didn't feel this way. But it waited, quiet, still, patient. It didn't scream, it whispered. And I ignored it. I filled my calendar so I wouldn't have to feel it. I fixed other people's problems so I wouldn't have to face my own. I called it discipline, productivity, resilience. But really it was fear. Fear of slowing down enough to hear what that part of me had been trying to say. I thought if I could just stay busy enough, helpful enough, liked enough, it would go away. It didn't. Because truth doesn't disappear just because you pretend not to see it. The moment it all cracked was quiet. There was no breakdown, no fight, no dramatic scene. Just me sitting alone, doing something ordinary and realizing I didn't know who I was without the performance. The truth came gently. It didn't accuse, it didn't shame. It just waited until I had no more excuses left. And when I finally looked at it, not with judgment, but with softness, I saw that it wasn't weakness I'd been hiding from. It was myself. The version of me that was tired, that needed rest, that longed to be held without having to be strong first. The version of me that wanted to be chosen without earning it. This isn't a story about falling apart. It's a story about taking off the armor and realizing you're still whole underneath it. If you've been running from a part of yourself because you thought it was too much, too broken, too needy, maybe it's not weakness you're avoiding. Maybe it's the truth that finally wants to be seen. It didn't happen in a crisis, not in a hospital room, not in a tragedy, not even in a moment of heartbreak. It happened on a Tuesday at 3:17 p.m. while folding laundry. I dropped a towel and just sat on the floor. And I didn't want to get back up, not because I was tired, but because for the first time in years, I admitted something to myself. I was exhausted, not from work, not from life, but from pretending I had it together, pretending I didn't need help, pretending I was fine when I was quietly unraveling. Every smile felt like a costume, every answer rehearsed, every conversation carefully filtered to keep people comfortable. I had become so good at seeming okay that even I forgot how to say, I'm not. There's a unique kind of loneliness that comes from being surrounded by people who don't know the truth because you never gave them a chance to. And I wore that loneliness like a secret badge of honor. If no one sees me fall apart, I thought, then maybe I never really did. But you can't outrun yourself. You can only delay the moment when the silence finally asks, are you ready now? That day on the floor, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt the weight of years spent holding in what needed to be let out. And for once, I didn't try to carry it. I didn't tell myself to be strong. I didn't fix it. I just said softly, honestly, I'm tired of faking it. No one else was there. No applause, no witness. Just me. Finally meeting the part of myself I had avoided. And strangely, it didn't feel like failure. It felt like freedom. I didn't fix my life that day. I didn't suddenly know what to do next, but I took one honest breath and then another. And that was the beginning. Not of change, but of truth. And truth, however quiet, is always where the healing begins. It started early. Maybe I was too young to question it. Maybe I was too eager to belong. But somewhere along the way, I learned a message that sounded like truth because everyone around me believed it too. The lie was this: if I'm good enough, I'll be loved. If I perform well enough, I'll be safe. If I don't need too much, I won't be a burden. So I became good. I became helpful. I became capable. I became silent. And it worked on the outside. People trusted me. They leaned on me. They called me strong. But inside, I was starving for someone to ask, but who holds you? I thought that needing meant weakness, that asking meant failing, that admitting meant breaking something irreparably. So I stayed quiet, kept carrying, kept smiling. But the truth is I wasn't strong. I was scared. Scared that if people saw the real me, the messy me, the tired me, the unsure me, they'd leave. Or worse, they'd stay, but love me less. So I worked harder, became more reliable, said yes when I wanted to say no, said I'm fine when I was falling apart. And the more I kept the lie alive, the more I disappeared. Until one day, I looked at my life and realized I didn't recognize the person I had built. It wasn't a breakdown. It was a quiet breaking open. A realization that none of this was sustainable. That somewhere beneath the noise, a voice had been whispering, "This isn't who you are. This is who you thought you had to be." And when I finally listened, not with judgment, but with grace, I heard a deeper truth. One that said, you don't have to earn love. You don't have to deserve rest. You are not here to perform your worth. It was disorienting, letting go of the role I had played so well, but it was also the first time I felt honest. Not just with others, but with myself. The lie was loud, but truth, it's quieter, gentler, more patient. And once I heard it, I couldn't unhear it. It wasn't a fancy mirror, no golden frame, no soft lighting, just a rectangle of glass above the sink in a bathroom I barely noticed. But that morning, for the first time in years, I didn't rush past it. I looked, and I stayed. And what I saw wasn't tired eyes or aging skin or messy hair. I saw someone I hadn't properly met in decades. She looked familiar, but not quite like me. There was sadness I hadn't named, longing I had buried, and behind the eyes a question, where have you been? I used to avoid mirrors, not out of shame, out of disconnect. I wasn't afraid of how I looked. I was afraid of what I might see if I paused too long. Because the mirror doesn't reflect who we pretend to be, it reflects who's still there when the pretending ends. That morning, I didn't fix my hair, didn't adjust my posture, didn't practice a smile. I just looked, and something in me softened. Not in defeat, in recognition. I whispered, not out loud, but somewhere in the heart, you're still here. And it hit me how long I'd been living on autopilot, doing, achieving, pleasing, but never truly being. The mirror didn't judge. It didn't critique. It just reflected. And in that reflection, I didn't see failure. I saw survival. A woman who had held too much for too long and finally allowed herself to put something down. I cried, not for what I lost, but for the years I didn't see myself. And as the tears fell, I didn't look away. Because now I wanted to see it all. The lines, the questions, the weariness, the strength, especially the strength. Not the strength to push through, but the strength to finally pause, to face, to feel. The mirror didn't change me. It revealed me. And that was the most honest I'd felt in years. I don't remember the first time I said it, but I remember how quickly it became automatic. How are you? I'm fine. Tired? I'm fine. Lonely? I'm fine. Breaking still? I'm fine. It became my armor. 2 words that bought me space, that bought me peace, or so I thought. But I'm fine was never the truth. It was a placeholder, a performance, a polite way to say, please don't ask me to be real right now. And people believed me because I said it with a smile, with steady hands, with a voice that didn't shake. But inside I was aching to be interrupted, to be seen, to be asked again. One day I said it like always, to a friend. In passing, she stopped, put her hand on mine, and said, "Are you really?" And I froze, not because she asked, but because no one ever did. I opened my mouth to repeat the lie, to smooth things over, to keep it light. But instead something cracked, not loudly, just enough. Enough to whisper, "No, I'm not." It was the smallest sentence I had ever said, but it felt like laying down a mountain. She didn't fix me. She didn't rush to respond. She just stayed, sat in the pause with me, and somehow that was enough. That moment taught me what years of "I'm fine" never could. That honesty doesn't scare away the right people. It draws them closer. That saying "I'm not okay" isn't weakness. It's an invitation. Not to be saved, but to be seen. I don't say I'm fine by default anymore. I pause. I breathe. I answer honestly. Even if the truth is uncomfortable, even if it's small. Because if I can't be honest with people who ask, then I'm not really being honest with myself. And I don't want to go back to that version of me. The one who looked strong but was drowning. The one who smiled but was unseen. The one who said "I'm fine" until the words lost all meaning. Now, why say I'm overwhelmed? I'm uncertain. I'm healing. I'm learning how to show up differently. And every time I say that, I feel lighter, not because the pain is gone, but because the weight is finally shared. I thought accepting myself would feel like giving up, like lowering the bar, like settling for someone I was supposed to outgrow. But it didn't. It felt like a long exhale, like stepping into a room I didn't know I had the key to. For years, I chased versions of myself I thought I needed to become more disciplined, more selfless, more composed, less emotional, less needy, less me. I shaped myself around expectations, shrunk in places to keep others comfortable, stretched in directions to prove I was worthy. I called it growth, but really it was performance. Then one morning, with no drama, no breakdown, no great revelation, I looked in the mirror and didn't flinch. Not because I was proud, but because, finally, I was honest. This is me, the one who's still healing, the one who overthinks, the one who gets quiet when things get loud, the one who feels deeply but rarely shows it all. And instead of editing that, I let it stand. What happened after that wasn't magic. No fireworks, no overnight transformation. But something shifted. I stopped trying so hard to be easy to love and started asking, what would it look like if I loved myself without a performance? The answer surprised me. It looked like saying no when I needed rest. It looked like asking for help without shame. It looked like laughing without apology, crying without explanation, leaving rooms that required me to dim my light just to belong. Acceptance wasn't permission to stay stuck. It was the starting point of true change. Because you can't heal what you're still pretending doesn't exist. And I had spent too long pretending I was fine, pretending I was always okay, pretending I didn't need what everyone else seemed allowed to ask for. Now I ask, I soften. I stay with myself even when I'm uncomfortable. Especially then, I no longer chase who I think I should be. I choose to be with who I am. And maybe that version is still messy, still learning, still uncertain. But she's real and she's enough. It didn't feel like a transformation. It felt like a homecoming. Not to some better version of me, just to me, the one who had been waiting beneath all the layers of improvement, discipline, control. I used to think growth meant change. Now I believe it sometimes means returning. Returning to softness, to truth, to the voice I buried under should and not yet, and you'll be lovable when. One morning, I sat by the window, tea in hand, and didn't need to fix anything. I wasn't behind, I wasn't broken, I wasn't less. I was just breathing. And for the first time, that felt like enough. The world didn't shift. My past didn't vanish. But the tension inside me unclenched. Not all the way, not forever, but enough to let me rest in my own presence. I didn't win a war. I laid down my weapons, the ones I'd pointed at myself for years. The criticism, the shame, the belief that I was only worthy if I was improving. Now I move slower, not because I've given up, but because I no longer need to rush to prove I'm okay. I sit longer in silence because it doesn't scare me anymore. It holds me. I'm not always at peace, but I know how to return to it, not by achieving something, but by remembering. I don't have to earn what already belongs to me. My own kindness, my own care, my own presence. Acceptance didn't make me stop growing. It made the growth gentler. Now I change because I'm loved, not to be loved. Now I rest because I'm tired, not because I deserve it. I didn't change. I just stopped fighting myself. And in that stillness, I found a kind of peace that ambition never gave me. You were never broken, even when I treated you like you were, even when I made you small to be liked, even when I silenced you so others could speak. You were never broken, just unseen, especially by me. I used to look at you with impatience. Why are you so sensitive? Why can't you be stronger? Why do you need so much? And I thought if I could just improve you, discipline you, reshape you, then I'd finally be proud. But now I look at you differently. Now I see how long you carried things you didn't have words for, how long you smiled through pressure, how long you waited to be chosen by someone, anyone, even if it meant you had to disappear a little to be accepted. I see it now, and I'm sorry. Not because you failed, but because I asked you to keep proving you were worthy when all you needed was to be held. So this is for you. The version of me that survived without applause, that kept showing up even when I didn't know how to listen. The one I tried to outperform, outgrow, outshine. You didn't need to be replaced. You needed to be welcomed. I see you now, the one who cried in silence, who flinched when praised because it never felt safe, who braced for disappointment even in joy. You were never the problem. The story I told about you was, if I could go back, I'd sit beside you, not to give advice, not to fix anything, just to say I'm here now, and I won't leave again. No more perfection, no more punishment, no more pretending you're too much or not enough. You are exactly who I needed to come home to. So I'm not chasing the next version anymore. I'm not measuring your worth by how little you feel or how well you perform. I'm just learning how to stay with you in this, without shame. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave up on you. You are not a project. You are a person, and from here on, you will be treated with softness. You're safe now, with me, and that is the love I was always looking for.